what has happened in the last 24 hours. The two attacks. We have the case of the Strait of Hormuz after the MOU. As you know, the MOU was signed between Iran and the United States. It's your favorite MOU. Nobody seems to care what's in it. And
Yeah.
then then you see the United States continuing. They're trying to manage the Strait of Hormuz. What's so amazing to me that they couldn't achieve it, with that Operation Freedom, your Project Freedom, which happened before the signing of the MOU. And then they're trying to do under MOU, under that line of MOU, which it basically says that Iran is in charge of the Strait of Hormuz. They have to manage the strait. They have to, guarantee the free passage of for 60 days and all of this and that. And then the United States bring in warships in the strait to, to somehow find an alternative route for the tankers that they're trying to pass through the strait. Andre, is there any sort of looking at the attacks? The United States is attacking each and every time in the southern part of Iran. They're trying to, militarily, I don't know what is the objective of what the United States is doing. What is your understanding of that?
Well, my understanding is same as it was before. I told you from the get-go. This MOU thing, it's not even toilet paper. You just can't throw it away. There's no point discussing it. I mean, anything you conclude with the West today is not worth the paper it's written on. I mean, it's all garbage. I mean, and they are agreement incapable and non-agreement capable. And so discussing some document, even if it goes through, let's say, Congress and ratified by Congress, which gives it their judicial power, it's still worthless because that's the nature of the modern West. And so in terms of what they're trying to do, Trump was defeated everywhere. He's a loser. So is U.S. military. They're losers. I mean, let's be very blunt about it. So the mood in Washington, from what I gather, is to lash out, to show something that we are not impotent, which they are, because they cannot really get any break. It started with the, obviously, first, the complete collapse of those idiotic plans conceived by amateurs in CIA, Pentagon, and Washington, D.C., that you can actually, make Russia collapse and regime of Putin removed and things like that. They bet the house on it, failed miserably, have been militarily humiliated. Then you remember Prosperity Guardian, Houthis, people who wear sandals, and who depend completely pretty much on Iranian technology and all that. Well, I don't remember any success for those missions. Remember? To open the Bab el-Mandeb and, Red Sea and all that, it was a miserable failure. Now we have much more serious development with the Israel, which controls the United States and its military, essentially. And so they are getting beaten into the bloody pulp from what I read, even from Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a nasty little, not little, I mean, that's financed by those sheikhs, those, but still they admit, I mean, the command post of the U.S. Armed Forces in Jordan have been hit, together with, that's pretty serious deal. And yet another Patriot PAC-3 have been blown up to smithereens. So, and what I saw, Bahrain is getting it. It is virtually very little air defense there, if any. And yeah, it will continue. And we now see that it's actually in Jordan and further down the road. And they attack U.S. military bases, which are removed away from the basically Persian Gulf. So yeah, it will continue because they have no other option. United States, as it exists today, cannot lose gracefully. It has to be total military humiliation, and so they are getting it. And so they think that if they bomb more, the only thing United States is capable of doing, that is somehow going to change the outcome. It's not. And what can I say? That will continue so, until they ran out completely whatever was left from those stocks. They cannot basically refill them, those arsenals. And so, yeah, there will be, well, Mr. Trump, you heard him. The guy is, I mean, I don't know what universe he is residing in. but that's who he is.
Andre, what is, let's assume that they're trying to seek, that they're trying to achieve something in this raid. Is that achievable
No,
militarily with what they're doing?
no, no. How can they achieve something without essentially defeating militarily the main, well, basically holder of the keys to the Strait of Hormuz, who is Iran? They are risking, and again, there are all kinds of rumors flying around. I don't buy them immediately. I always wait 24, 48, even 72 hours. But they say, oh, yeah, we hit some destroyer, of the US Navy, and hopefully not. I don't want it to escalate, but um, this will continue. Those attempts, those convulsions, they have all hallmarks of convulsions, not thought out serious operation. These are convulsions. Let's bomb something. Let's declare something. Let's move a couple of destroyers into to the approaches of the Strait of Hormuz. They are immediately again essentially under the threat of being hit by either anti-shipping missiles or whatever Iran has. So they will continue to bomb Iran, pull back, see what's going to happen, because this is the only way. It's basically a repetition of Vietnam in many respects. Linebacker one, linebacker two, let's bomb them and see what's going to happen. They bomb it and nothing happens, and it all ends up in Paris in 1975. So, and this is exactly the same pattern now. This is American way of war. They might insert some special forces. They might bomb some facilities. That's about it. If they want to fight the real war, they need to declare their draft in the reinstate the draft in the United States, draft about a couple of million people, spent, I don't know, 2 years trying to prepare them for whatever the war, which United States never fought, and then just try to invade Iran, which by that time the Iranians are pretty sophisticated people. They would expect it, anticipate what's going to happen. And again, as the fate of the U.S. base today is, again, in Bahrain, the headquarters of the Fifth Fleet are being pummeled into into bloody pulp. And so if they think that they can have a basis or staging areas, and assembly areas, I have news for Pentagon. They are thinking within the, paradigm of 1945. So obviously, what can I say? That's the only way. Of course, they have this other Samson option, which is, God forbid, nuclear. But then, of course, United States becomes the pariah state, and that's the whole other can of worms. We're not going to go there. And so that's what it is. Other than that, moving couple of destroyers here and there, you need to load them for what do you have for those destroyers? The only thing you have there are SM-6, SM-2, SM-3 missiles loaded in those 96 cells. Half of them at least are strike weapons. They might change in favor of the, instead of 48, they might go make fewer Tomahawks, which they load in those MK-41. A load more SM-6 missiles. They have their ESSM, which is the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, which is in the launchers on the deck. That's about it. And realistically, they don't have anything more. So they can launch those Tomahawks. I mean, they again will fly somewhere. Some of them will be shot down. Some of them will hit, I don't know, kindergarten or something like that. And so after that, what is the value of those ships there? Very little. Very little, because they are becoming nothing more but the floating prestigious targets. Simple as that. And they have to pray to God that actually the Aegis and Spy 1D or Spy 6, if it is the Flight 3 and after early bird class destroyers, that they work properly against massive salvo, which will fly in. And that's the situation. It's simple as that. Tactics in this particular case dictates the operational and strategic outcomes. And again, can only sit here and guess what is going on there. But obviously, both sides produce contradicting statements. But at this stage, I would be very cautious even treating anything which comes out from CENTCOM in terms of the whatever the hell is going on there, because and again, there is another mine danger. Mines are there. Iranians know where they are. You cannot demine it without the peaceful settlement. Trump is incapable of peaceful settlement. He's controlled by Israel. He is owned by Israel. Washington, D.C. is owned by Israel. So simple as that. And United States will be doing the bidding of Israel. And Israel and Netanyahu, basically criminal circle, they need war, because otherwise he ends up behind bars. And this is simple as that. I mean, that's really very simple. And so that will continue in some sense, and Iran will continue to respond. They obviously have plenty of weapons to respond with, and there you go.
Andrei, they created some sort of understanding in the West that the whole country is collapsing. You remember how this war started? They said there is no support for the government and everything is
Yeah.
collapsing from inside. And you see the funeral coming, and it's unbelievable. From my point of view, I have never seen
Nobody's
Iranians.
seen anything like this. Nobody's seen anything like this. Yeah. But yeah, this is how it is. The same with Putin. Putin regime is it's on the ropes. It's about to collapse. People who do that, first, you have to understand extremely low intellectual level of the Western elites. All those get practically any professor of any kind of the humanities academic fraud, which they teach there, ranging from whatever, which is the fraudulent subject altogether, political science. It doesn't exist as such. It's not a craft, it's nothing. Or journalism, or they know nothing about the world outside. They're a bunch of the brainwashed people, credentialed idiots for the most part. I see many of them teaching in the US military academies and war colleges. They're downright morons. I can name Sarah Payne, Victor Hansen. They have no freaking clue about what they are talking about. And so, yeah, the same here. Yeah, remember, the Khamenei is not popular. The people are rising, and 40 million people, half population essentially of Iran, bid farewell to their leader. You cannot fix it. You cannot come to the, for example, CIA and guys, you are amateurs. People who are real professionals there in CIA, they don't get any promotion. They don't get into the power. You can go to Pentagon. Most of their generals and admirals are amateurs. They live in their fairy tale la la land created by Hollywood. Those people who are professionals, who have integrity, again, they do not come to the power, levers of power. Anybody refuse to serve or submit? You don't have to refuse to serve. You can always submit a resignation. It's gonna screw up your career and future, but I mean, you can do this if you have consciousness, if you have courage. I saw only one major from the US Air Force who had enough guts to come up in the front of the US Congress. Most of them are corrupt, and others they try to find justification for them that they are nothing but the puppets. They serve their, Israeli masters. And the guy who is absolutely not normal human already, I saw him speaking. He talks, it's a Freudian slip, I believe. He calls this drug addict, Zelensky, he calls him Mr. Putin. That's how he preoccupied with everything. He is essentially basically cornered rat now, and that's bad, okay? The only thing they do is, as I already stated, the only thing they can do is PR. That's the only thing. Goebbelsian propaganda, brainwashing people. In terms of real application of managerial skills, scientific, technological, and things like that, the United States is already militarily, as I already stated, it's not two generations. It's about 20 years behind in terms of the table of organization and equipment and operational art and strategic views on war. And what are you going to do? Boom! That's the only thing they know. So that's what happens when your history is essentially confabulated, when you create this fairy tale that, we bombed Nazi Germany into submission. Sure, So that's who they are. Not all, make no mistake. I'm not making sweeping generalization, but United States and combined with, especially Europe, they have been under the negative selection process since 1980s. That's when this sort of thing started, when, but for whatever reasons, be that involvement of the special services, CIA, BND or MI6 or their elites, you can see literally degeneration of the intellect, or whatever is called passes for it today. And you can see yourself, the intellectual level, it's a third world. Take any of them, the only thing you can see is that touchy feely sensitive people who cannot take not only criticism, they cannot take facts. That's the whole tragedy of it. You cannot come and say, this is the fact, this is the empirical evidence of this, and they will deny it. They will live because that's who they are. They're kids, children, spoiled brats. That's who they are. That's what they prepare in Ivy League schools. Bunch of morons. So that's what it is.
It seems that the Trump administration is desperately trying to produce more arms and more weapons,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're doing
sure.
everything right now, Andre. We, from what we've learned from Iranian side, that if they escalate the war, Iran has at least one of the commanders said that one of the hypersonic missiles from Iran to Israel is going to take something like 6 to 7 minutes to get there and to hit the target. And is there any air defense system in Israel or something? What can the United States do with what is happening with the air bases in the Persian Gulf? They don't have them anymore. In Jordan, the same thing. And in Israel, they hit some targets in Israel. I don't know, how do you find the situation in Israel? Because Israel said today, Israeli media said, we're prepared, we're ready to get back to
Yeah,
war.
I mean, yeah, you cannot take seriously anything which comes out of of that country. Essentially, it's a terrorist regime basically there, and so they lie all the time. They are also covered. They cover everything. They censor everything because they say, well, but they are good only at genocide. First, there are. Again, I want to correct. Iran doesn't have hypersonic weapons. Nobody does real hypersonic weapons. What Iran has, the same as some other countries have, which is called the ballistic, some maneuverable warheads. They, by definition, especially if they fly through the classic ballistic trajectory, because they're intermediate range, they do accelerate to what is called hypersonic speeds. Iran, theoretically, I believe they have this technology, can still launch something at the suppressed ballistic trajectory. Those are fast, make no mistake. But again, people still do not understand what hypersonic is. But even what Iran has is enough to break through anything what United States has. We're not talking about Israel, because Israel air defense is the U.S. air defense. All those Israeli hats or whatever, David Sling and all that thing, it's all Boeing, Lockheed, and Raytheon. Just change shields, the labels from made in the United States, made to Israel. That's pretty much it. They are defenseless, and essentially Iran breaks through at will. And we have to take a look at here, even at first. I want to again immediately. I don't know what that Pastol is spreading yet again. All kinds of the idiotic things. So first, they are not 4%. The effectiveness. First, you have to separate pretty much what kind of the type of the targets they operate against. PAC-3, it's not 4%. They still manage to shoot some things like primitive ballistic missiles. They sometimes have their success. They still can shoot aerodynamic targets with the subsonic type, which are either aircraft, or obviously drones, such as the long range like Shahid in this case. Granted, they take the track, and they can lock on, and so sometimes they shoot them. It's not 4%. It's more around, as I already stated, 20 to 30%. It's still pathetic. Make no mistake. It's pathetic, but it's not 4%. But even if it's considered 20 to 30%, that means, yes, still defenseless. You essentially cannot even mitigate. You cannot blunt any kind of the strike, and Iran can strike with this. Complex strikes on any target in the United States and Israel in the region, and Yeah. So if you shoot down, let's say, 2 out of 10 missiles, you still get blown to up to smithereens, basically. And you can see, look at the today's videos from Bahrain. They shut down probably one. The rest of it just flies in and explodes on the target. And yeah, that's what Iran does. They have the technology to overcome it. And well, because also United States doesn't have functional air defense. Nobody does. In NATO does. And that's the other thing which many people do not understand. So in this case, this effectiveness, or rather lack thereof, obviously is its strategic weakness. It becomes, it translates itself from the tactical to from tactical and operation to strategic weakness. And so that's one of the things which they never thought about, because the whole idea of American air defense is based around on this random collection of all those NASAMs and PAC-3. Oh, we have Air Force. Yeah, sure. Good luck trying to use the Air Force as air defense, because they thought that they can suppress SIAD, suppression of the enemy air defense, against such enemy as Iraq, which had the air defense system at that time from before the American Civil War, okay, from 1861 or something like that. Then, oh yeah, we suppressed. No, you didn't, and even there they had issues. Okay, here you have a very modern country, technologically advanced and with industrial capability, such as Iran, and they will continue to blow things as long as it takes.
Andre, how about the capabilities of the United States producing new missiles, maybe hypersonic missiles?
No,
And
no, as it has to be understood. What you hear all over there, and you read in news, United States is nowhere near in developing true hypersonic weapons. I think they damaged many officers of the Russian General Staff and Ministry of Defense when Mr. Hexet, and during his visit to one of the ranges, where they present him this long-range hypersonic weapon, and then suddenly it turned out that this long-range hypersonic weapon has the mass of 30 pounds. It's remember the moment from the what's the name of it? The spy who shagged me, Dr. Evil, Mike Myers. You will have to give me $1 million, and people in the United Nations begin to laugh because yeah, what is $1 million today? So the same here, 13-kilogram warhead. Are you freaking kidding me? They were better just loading some kind of the 155 millimeter gun and try to bring it to the front line. And so this is what we have. I mean, it's all about bottom line capitalization. This is not to say that the United States doesn't have good engineers and designers. It certainly does. Make no mistake. There are still very capable people. Some the STEM schools in the United States, one of the best in the world. They're really good schools. Make no mistake. When I talk about Ivy League, I talk about the humanities degrees, essentially degree mills. That's what they are. But I mean, math schools, physics, and things like that, they're not too bad. And obviously, the United States has one of the best, if not the best, laboratory base in the world. The problem is the system itself, the clockwork, so to speak, is designed such a way that it's clear to anybody those weapons are made as the commercial items. And now, when this was happening for the last 40 plus years, primarily, and even earlier than that, you suddenly have the situation that, my God, we're stuck in 1990s. Yeah, what are 1990s? 30 years. So what do you have? You have still what? This Tomahawk thing, clam. How many iterations? Block 4, block 5. Yeah, they improve a little bit on antenna. They improve a little bit on whatever MDAC, GSCA. Yeah, it's fine. The problem is against modern air defense, it has a dismal rate. Because even Syrians, remember 2018, out of 100 Tomahawks and JASSMs, 79 have been shut down by Syrian air defense when it had the early warning, obviously, from Russians. And that's what it is. That's modern war. And they still cannot grasp it. They continue to develop this. They think just enough. And then, of course, look at F-35. The latest, did you read the latest Government Accountability Office report this July 2020. It's basically description of a catastrophe, technological catastrophe in the so and can they change it? No, because it's military, industrial, congressional media complex. It's revolving of the same old people, corrupt to the core, who only care about the what? Shareholders, capitalization, and making money. A real war, they never saw real war. Anybody who tells me that, yeah, it was real war, we defeated Iraq, please. Afghanistan, it's just police operation of the high intensity. That's pretty much what it was. And even that they lost. So and that's what you observe now with Iran, and again, special military operation.